Welcome to Working the Light's new video series, Nehemiah at Work. In episode one, we'll learn about praying first. A change in your career can be both energizing and frightening all at the same time. New responsibilities combined with the need for new skills can temper anyone's enthusiasm for the new opportunity. My career path saw me go from an employee to a partner, from a partner to an owner, from an owner to a student, from a student to a pastor, and finally from a pastor to a spiritual advisor and coach for leaders in the workplace. Well, Nehemiah is a man whose story is chronicled in the Old Testament of the Bible. He served as cupbearer to King Artaxerxes of the powerful Medo Persian Empire. It was a significant role, but everything was about to change for Nehemiah. As Nehemiah's story unfolds, he's about to go from servant to governor. So, what is a cupbearer? According to ancient documents, cupbearers would carefully wash the cup in the presence of the king and then pour wine into the cup. The cupbearer would then pour a bit of the wine into their palm and drink it. He would then hand the cup to the king, hold it by his fingertips to prove that he had placed nothing into the cup after drinking the wine from it. Cupbearers had to be trustworthy men of integrity as the king's first line of defense against poisoning. As all royal servants, Nehemiah was expected to present himself with a bright, positive countenance. Personal matters were left outside the royal court. To do otherwise could be considered a capital offense. Something was about to change Nehemiah's forever job, though. Word from his brother revealed that Jerusalem was in disarray. The city's walls were destroyed, and its people were living in distress because of the ongoing threats of neighboring tribes. So devastating was the news to Nehemiah. He mourned the plight of Jerusalem and his fellow Israelites for weeks. The smart thing for Nehemiah was to just let it be someone else's problem, but he couldn't let it go. He decided to risk it all and appeal to the king for assistance. Approaching the king with his problem could not only mean the end of his career, it could mean the end of his life. Nehemiah began praying and fasting day and night. He worshiped God for who he is. He confessed the sins of Israel that got Jerusalem and its people in the mess in the first place. And he prayed for mercy and for favor with the king he served. Communicating with God was Nehemiah's reflex response. What would be your first response when faced with a problem at work? I think we'd all say some sort of planning would be in order, but would it be prayer first? Fast forward to today. Our toy inventing studio had a meeting with a well known Las Vegas entertainer. Before we met with him, he asked to spend time meditating to seek direction from his spirit guide. 45 minutes later, he was finally ready for the meeting. I thought to myself, I hadn't taken time to pray to the God of the universe for direction or discernment or favor. Yet this man was unknowingly, maybe unknowingly, seeking the counsel of demons. So, is prayer the first thing you do when faced with a workplace decision? If not, what is your go to? Another question would be, what do you think it was that led Nehemiah to begin with prayer first? So, back to Nehemiah. His heart was exercised by God's concern for the circumstances surrounding the remnant of his people in Jerusalem. Prayer was Nehemiah's immediate go to. Prayer seemed like inviting God into your work, but it's more like learning if you're being invited into God's work. We often miss the privilege of partnering with God in His work in and through us because, well, we simply neglect to consider it in prayer. Prayer was also Nehemiah's posture of humility, realizing he had no answers, he had no resources for what was burdening his heart, which was building the wall back around Jerusalem. Prayer opened Nehemiah's circumstances to God's powerful resources, which includes his discernment, wisdom, guidance. Prayer gave Nehemiah the confidence to attempt what appeared to be impossible. For these reasons, prayer was Nehemiah's first and primary decision-making tool. So, what part does prayer play in your day-to-day business affairs? Here's some powerful what ifs to consider. What if God has been waiting for all eternity for the perfect time to call you into existence so that you can partner with Him to accomplish something amazing? There's another what if. What if God plans includes where you currently work and who you work for and alongside? Another what if? What if your work or your career is designed by God to give you purpose, to give what you do meaning, and to give what you accomplish fulfillment? Here's something to do. Read Nehemiah chapter 1 and ask yourself these questions. What if calling is about where you work instead of what you do? What links do you see between prayer and calling in this chapter? And do you think it's fair to consider that calling occurs when our heart resonates with God's heart? These are important questions. This is an important topic. Prayer is huge. But until we meet again, remember, just work in the light.